it matter? The tavern's always filled with laughter.
And firesides where heroes...
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Invictus, and today I want to bring you my initial reactions for the Hearthstone cards that were revealed today and yesterday from the upcoming expansion, the Boomsday Project.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Boom. I live to build things. Bombs mostly. So come work with me and we'll create all kinds of new inventions. Bombs mostly.
Science!
You can go into success with no regrets when you work with Dr. Boom.
Oh, yeah! Technology!
You can work with the best and the brightest when you work with Dr. Boom.
Ginormous mechanical pneumatic gorilla robot arms for smashing everything!
What he said. Yeah.
Work with Dr. Boom.
Come add your skills to my team at Boom Laboratories. We're exploding with opportunity.
Dr. Boom is not responsible for severed, exploded, or lost body parts. Revealing location of semi-secret lab is punishable by death.
The first card I want to talk about is Stargazer Luna. This is a mage legendary. It is a 3-mana 2/4, and it says after you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. This card strikes me as awful, like really, really bad. The only deck that I really see this coming into play in the current meta is the minion mage that has the Aragol and the 2-mana card that draws 3 cards. But even in that deck, I don't think that this card is good enough. And it's a legendary, so you can't really rely on drawing it all the time. Since no cards are really rotating out this expansion, and we're just adding more powerful cards onto the pre-existing pool, I don't see this seeing play pretty much ever. Worth noting, though, they could print cards in the Boomsday Project that would make this viable. Don't know what those cards would even begin to look like, though, because this is pretty bad. Alright, the next card I want to talk about is Myra's Unstable Element. Now, this is the Rogue Legendary spell. It is the first standalone legendary spell that we've had. The other legendary spells, of course, were the quest cards, but those don't really count. This is a 5-mana spell, and it says draw the rest of your deck. This is so interesting. When I first saw this card, I thought it was so strong. You know, drawing cards in Rogue is pretty much the norm at this point. In Miracle Rogue, you just play Gadsden Auctioneer with the sole purpose of drawing all your cards. You also have cards like Faldori Strider that kind of benefit you to be always drawing cards. If they print more of those kinds of cards in this next expansion, I can see this card being exceptionally good. Currently, I'm kind of thinking of this weird deck where you have Kingsbane so you don't fatigue, but you could also have Togwaggle so you can just fatigue them really fast. I'm really hoping that this deck isn't completely cancerous. It kind of strikes me as the Barnes Yasharaj deck that people played in Rogue first and then in Hunter. It's kind of like you need to draw your cards in a specific order, and if you do, you just win. Hopefully we don't get into a Unstable Element Togwaggle meta. I would really like to see a Unstable Element Kingsbane meta, though, where you just draw your cards and then you don't fatigue because you keep shuffling in Kingsbanes in your deck with the Valera hero power. It's too early to call a rating on this card because we have only seen 5 or 6 of the cards. But my initial reaction is that this is one of those cards that you'd really want to build a deck around. And this is one of the cards that I will definitely be trying day 1 of the expansion. The next card is Electra Storm Surge, and it's bad. Yeah, I'm not going to waste your time with this one. It's a 3-mana 3/3 for Shaman that is just so bad. 3-mana 3/3, your next spell this turn, cast twice. Why? I actually don't understand this because Shaman spells are generally these like defensive kind of cards, and they're always pretty swingy. Either they're spot removal or they're, you know, lightning bolt or whatever. I mean, unless you're playing this on a burst spell, which I don't see Shaman being a aggro class in the next meta, it's either going to be very win more or you're already losing the game and you should concede anyway. Playing Electra Storm Surge and Bloodlust is like the most BM way to win a game, and it's also bad. Like, it's a 2-card combo that, like, just cheeses games out, but I don't think that it's actually a good deck strategy. Another thing that I've seen around the internet is Electra Storm Surge plus Healing Rain, and this kind of, like, struck me at first as like, oh, this might be good, and then I thought about it for a second. If you're playing Electra Storm Surge and Healing Rain, you're losing the game. Just please concede, and then move on. And build a better deck. I don't see this card being that good in the next meta, because I assume that the next meta is going to be very similar to the meta that we're currently in. And this would be bad. Next, Omega Defender. This card is also pretty bad, unfortunately. Although, I can see it being okay in Druid because of a card that I will talk about later. I've actually been asking for Omega Defender or Omega-like cards for a while, but not like this. Unfortunately, Omega Defender is completely unplayable in the early stages of the game unless you really need aggro protection. You need this 4-mana 2/6 taunt to save you. In the late game, it's probably not good enough. It's not swingy enough. However, in Druid, you can cheese this out really early because you have a ton of ramp, and I understand your opponent might have the same amount of mana or like 1 or 2 mana less than you, but oftentimes removal costs less than the card that you play it on. For example, all the time you hex a Lich King. So that's a 4 mana solution to an 8 mana problem. In principle, I like the idea of the Omega cards because they're playable in the early to mid game, and then they're also playable in the late game, which is not a lot of cards in Hearthstone. This makes mid-range decks very good because one card isn't completely funneled into one section of the game. For example, Firefly is a really bad card to top deck late game, but early game you almost always want it on turn 1. So Omega Defender just making me very excited for future cards that they're going to reveal. This one, probably not so much. Biology Project. This is the card that I alluded to earlier when I was talking about Omega Defender. This is the 1 mana new ramp spell for Druid, and it's each player gains 2 mana crystals. This is insane. Yeah, Druid is very good right now in this meta because it has a very good stall strategy. It uses cards like Spreading Plague and that 4 mana cheat the game out card, and it has cards like Naturalize, and even the Death Knight. This means that Druid can currently have pretty much any game plan at the end and probably get there and see it through to a win. Anyways, Biology Project gives you better chances of getting there. Also makes the Omega cards a lot better because when you get to 10 mana, your opponent might be at 8 or 9, and you can cheese out all these Omega cards that are now a little bit overpowered, but not much. Alright, the last card for today is Spider Bomb for Hunter. This is a 3 mana 2/2 with...
Remove shirt. I want to see the bobs.
Anyway. Oh, man. Spider Bomb, the 3 mana 2/2 for Hunters, with the new keyword Magnetic, also Death Rattle, destroy a random enemy minion. Alright, I should explain the new keyword Magnetic. Basically, it's a new keyword that deals with mech cards, so whenever you play a magnetic card and you have a mech on the board, it kind of does this thing with the Hunter Hero Power, where it takes your magnetic card and fuses it with the mech card. And you get all the stats combined and all of the text combined into one abomination of a mech card. So this is basically Deadly Shot, but in minion form and with a new keyword. This kind of brings me back to a card that was released in the Journey to Ungoro expansion. The first Adapt card that they released was horrible. I think it was Verdant Longneck, the 4 mana 5/4 Adapt or something. Awful card, would never see play. It was just kind of teasing us for what the Adapt mechanic would really cost. I think this is doing the same thing, but for Magnetic. It's not really a card that is going to see play. I don't think it was actually intended to see play. It was just intended to give us a pretty good baseline of what we can expect these magnetic cards' power level to be and what their cost should be. They basically took a buff, which is a very well-known value in Hearthstone, and they took a pre-existing card in Deadly Shot, and they combined them into one card. So we pretty much know what the value of this is. Also, keep in mind that the charge is kind of relevant here. I know it's not written on the card, but it's kind of implied with the magnetic, unless you're playing the Mech Minion and this card at the same time. I don't really see this card going too far in terms of play. I don't think Hunters really have this super control game plan. I mean, the slowest deck that we've ever seen Hunters play is actually in this meta, and it's Katharina Hunter. I still don't think that this has a spot in that deck. We'll see if there's any new toys to play around with in the Hunter class, but right now, I don't see a spot for this. Although, keep in mind for neutral mechs too, because those could come in handy. If they release a legendary mech minion in this expansion, look out for Hunters to play it if Magnetic is kind of looking to be a Hunter mechanic. Alright guys, that is all the cards that they revealed so far. Stay tuned. I'm going to be making all these kind of quick reaction videos, and then at the very end, when they've revealed all the cards, I'll be doing star ratings. I'll be using Trump's rating system, so I'll be rating them based on how much play I think that they'll see in the new meta. So stay tuned for that. You can always ask me what I think about the cards on my Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.